Welcome to the Teapot Reads. I'm the Teapot. This is what I'm currently reading, and I'm incredibly happy to see you today. Welcome to my channel, and welcome to another book haul. This is a little different than the ones I've done in the past because I'm not going to be showing you every single book I bought, and I'm also going to be telling you how disappointed I am in myself. I bought 164 books over the last 3 months. And that is a problem. There are a lot of books that I'm legitimately excited and happy I bought, regardless of whether I'm going to read them anytime soon, but I'm really happy to have them in my collection. That being said, there are also a lot of books that I bought just because I was like, I feel bad, I should buy a book today, or just like, hey look, that book is interesting, I should buy it. It's fine in that I could afford it, but it's a problem in that I'm just like glutting myself on books that I may not even be interested in the long run. There are quite a few books that I bought that I'm just like, might haul this next year. That's a problem. The other major problem is that I forgot what books I bought. And I'm really upset with myself for doing this. So there is a book that I bought with the NYRB sale, which I bought 20 books for that sale. Totally excited for every single one of them. No regrets there. But I bought this book, Journey by Moonlight by Antal Zerb. It sounds really good. It sounds really good. It's about like a guy's journey through Venice, and it sounds kind of sort of like not fantasy but magical and beautiful, and sounds very atmospheric. I mean, the title is Journey by Moonlight, and that is the exact vibe I get from this book. I'm very excited for this one. I bought another book called Journey by Moonlight by Antal Zerb. It is a different edition, but when I bought it, I was just as excited as I was for the other edition, and I was very stoked. The description is just different enough that it's very easy to have like glanced over. I thought I was buying two separate books. While I'm happy to have both editions because I like both of these editions, it wasn't intentional. It wasn't an intentional purchase. It was just me being like, this book sounds interesting twice, not realizing I already had it, thinking I had two interesting books. Realizing now, as I was doing my list, I only have one interesting book in two different copies, and I don't even know if I'm going to like it. I don't even know which edition I'm going to read because it wasn't intentionally or purposefully bought. So I've done things like that, and it's disappointed myself because I want to be buying intentionally. I want to know what books are on my shelves. I have done better this season already, so I count this as like part of the autumn season already, and I think I've done a much better job as it stands. Just because I've really been careful about purchasing. I've been really mindful about what I'm buying, whether I'm going to read it anytime soon. Even if I'm not going to read it anytime soon, am I okay with it sitting on the shelf? Is it a collectible item? You know, all these things. It's A, cut down on my book buying, and so I have money for like other things, which is kind of nice. And B, every single book I've bought this season already, which is not many, it's 4, I could tell you exactly what they are. And I could tell you why I bought them. Even 4 seems like a lot considering it's only like the 4th week of the month, but you know what, it's better than nothing, right? It's better than buying mindlessly and just consuming, which I see as a major problem for myself. So I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself for having done this month. This season. It's not a month, it was over the course of 3 months, but it was still 164 books. And I'm not going to go through all 164 with you. Heck, some of them I don't know anything about, I just bought it. I'm going through with you the books that I am most excited to talk about. The books that if I hadn't bought 164 books, I still would have come home with all of these books. So that is what this haul is going to be. It's much less than 164, it is still a lot of books. I actually didn't count, and I should do that. 42 books. That's a good number. 42 books over the course of the last 3 months. Not my actual stats, but that's what I'm going to be showing you. First of all, I want to show you the 3 books that I've picked up this season that I'm actually in the midst of reading in one degree or another. Those are Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. This is an ARC. It comes out in September. I'm really enjoying it. It is really good so far. I did put it down just because it is a bit heavy. It is about aliens and violin music and deals with the devil and being trans and finding happiness just for everyone and Asian communities in California and all of these wonderful, lovely things. It's got a lot of quirky characters like Good Omens. It's very much a harsh tone to this book, though. When bad things happen, it's unflinching and it tells you what those things are. So I will say that there will be a full review coming when I'm done reading it. And I've also talked a lot about it in reading vlogs, so if you want to know more, go check out those. Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is Elizabeth Gaskell's final book. She didn't actually complete it. She died before it was complete. Elizabeth Gaskell was a contemporary of Dickens, and in a lot of ways I find her writing very similar to Dickens in who she's focusing on, and that she's focusing on very regular people. This story is a bit of a Cinderella type story. It's about Molly, and it's about Molly's family and like other people in this town. It's very much like a gossipy town, which is something Gaskell does so well. I love how she writes gossiping people, and just like older women in particular. But Molly's father is the county doctor, and he's going to remarry, and that remarriage really throws Molly's life for a loop. She gets a new stepmother, she gets a new stepsister, and her stepmother is kind of trying to defame Molly. I'm not super far. I am just shy of 100 or just over 100 pages actually, and I'm actually listening to the audiobook of this. Again, I've talked about it a lot in my reading vlogs. I have talked about it no, I guess that's it, only in the reading vlogs. I'm really enjoying it. I really like Elizabeth Gaskell. Again, I will probably do a review of some sort of this when it is over, or at least talk about it continuously in my reading vlogs type of situation. And finally, we have a nonfiction book, Regency Revolution. This is by Robert Morrison. This book is so good. So I've actually been annotating it. Let me find like a, wow, that page is a lot. Won't pick up well. There we go. I've been annotating it, taking out interesting things. There's a lot of really eerie comparisons I can make between the Regency period in England and modern day America. Not necessarily good comparisons, where I'll just stare at them like, wow, this tragedy is happening again today. But it's really interesting. I really, really am enjoying this book. I'm reading it for a bit of research for a novel I've been kind of working on and postulating at the back of my head, but it's also just been, in general, incredibly interesting and pleasing to read. I don't read a lot of nonfiction, and I'm not reading this quickly. I read like maybe a chapter a night, and by chapter I mean like one of the sub-chapters in the chapters. But it's been thoroughly entertaining and a very easy read for someone who hasn't picked up a nonfiction book in like a year. Then we have a pile of like pretty classic type books, and I think there's a couple more I could have added, but these are just the ones I chose to include. So first of all, we have these are the popular Penguin editions from Australia, actually. I think that the UK does print some as well, but I don't know for sure, so I've just been getting them from Australia via Book Depository. And this is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I know absolutely nothing about this book except that everyone I've talked to who has read it has loved it, and it's become one of their favorite books. And I think it talks about several generations of this family, and I think they have like bad luck or something like that. It's magical realism, I believe. I'm really excited to read it. It's definitely going to be sooner than later. I have had it sitting immediately on my TBR since I got it. So yeah, it's just a matter of me being in the right mood to pick it up, but as soon as I'm in that mood, it is being picked up. Then we have, similar to the second edition of Journey by Moonlight, I have in the Pushkin Press editions. This is Poems Tonight by Rainer Maria Rilke. I really like these editions. They're like really cute. You can't really tell, but they've got like a texture to the covers, which is really cool. And actually next to Journey by Moonlight, they look very nice. They're very nice. This is a whole set you can buy a bunch of different editions in, and they have a little more obscure books. So I am planning to collect these editions, especially, I'm not going to go crazy and feel like I have to collect every single one. It's very much a set of editions that just like the ones that interest me, but they have a really wide variety. First I thought it would be just mostly like European literature, but I've looked through it and it's actually a really good variety, and I'm really pleased. So yes, Poems Tonight by Rainer Maria Rilke. Part of Penguin's Japanese vintage collection, so they've done similar collections for Russian literature, for the Bronte sisters, and for Jane Austen and Virginia Woolf. They do a select set of books for these collections, and this is the Japanese literature vintage collection copy of The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. I think this is another magical realism type book. I really enjoy Murakami. I got this just for collection purposes, though this is probably the edition I'm going to read. I haven't read The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle yet. Again, not 100% sure what this is about. I'm going to read you the flap though, because the flap is incredibly interesting sounding. Toru Okada's cat has disappeared. His wife is growing more distant every day. Then there are increasingly explicit telephone calls he's recently been receiving. As this compelling story unfolds, the tidy suburban realities of Okada's vague and blameless life, spent cooking, reading, listening to jazz and opera, and drinking beer at the kitchen table, are turned inside out. He embarks on a bizarre journey guided by a succession of characters, each with a tale to tell. This edition is translated by J. Rubin. I don't know if that is the regular translator for the UK or American editions, but that is who's translating this one. I am really excited to get to this one. Again, this is another one that everyone who's read it tends to be like, this is my favorite book ever. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of hype for this one, but I feel good things because I already have a track record of liking Murakami. In the Penguin Vintage Classics edition, we have Madame de Pompadour by Nancy Mitford. I am, as you saw, currently reading an Evelyn Waugh book, and Evelyn Waugh and Nancy Mitford were really close friends. And I bought this because I knew they were close friends, and also because I really wanted to read a Mitford for a long time. And this is actually the first Mitford I'd ever come across online. So I was like, this has to be the one that I pick up. It is a historical, it's nonfiction, but in the way that like sometimes nonfiction does take liberties to kind of fill in gaps. Life story of Madame de Pompadour. And she was basically the official mistress of one of the French kings. If you've seen Doctor Who, there is an episode about her, one of the best episodes. I think it's called The Girl in the Fireplace. This is her, and this is sort of one of the most famous texts about her. I'm really excited to read it. I think Nancy Mitford did 3 books like this, so assuming I like this, I plan on picking up the next 2. In the Penguin Modern Classics, which has to be my favorite Classics editions right now, we have I, Claudius by Robert Graves. I'm really excited for this. This is kind of similar to Madame de Pompadour in that it's like about a historical figure, though this one is definitely more fiction than nonfiction, and it is about Claudius. And this is like his story. I think it's like a 2-book series. This is him watching from the lines, from the sidelines. Anyway, it's about Claudius, who is a very famous character from Roman history, and this is supposedly one of the greatest historical fiction novels ever written. I do actually own another book by Robert Graves that I bought this season that I didn't put on this pile, and I'm not going to go grab it now, but it's called Homer's Daughter. So I guess Robert Graves really focuses on the mythology and Roman Greco world, and I love those kinds of things, so I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to get to this one. This was another one as soon as it arrived. I was like, I'm going to read it right away, and then I just didn't. Then we have 2 Penguin cloth bounds. We have Emma by Jane Austen, and we have Lady Chatterley's Lover. I think a lot of people know what Emma is about. I haven't read this yet, but it is basically about Emma Woodhouse. She plays matchmaker for all her friends and close people, and basically ends up messing up all of their lives with her horrible matchmaking abilities. And it's like, Emma, the world does not revolve around you. But then Lady Chatterley's Lover, I'm not 100% what this is about. This is by D.H. Lawrence, and this is the book that, it's one of those books that like has been banned, and I believe this is the book that took Penguin publishers in the UK to court for like publishing like illicit like graphic, like pornography basically, and they won the case. It was deemed not that. But the reason I picked it up was the first page just gripped me so deeply, or the first even paragraph. So let me just read that to you. Ours is essentially a tragic age, so we refuse to take it tragically. The cataclysm has happened, we are among the ruins, we start to build up new little habitats, to have new little hopes. It is rather hard work. There is now no smooth road into the future, but we go round or scramble over the obstacles. We've got to live, no matter how many skies have fallen. Really excited to read this one. It sounds amazing. Also, the cover is gorgeous. I don't know if you can really tell, but there are like phoenixes on it. Then we have a Barnes & Noble leather-bound classic, and that is for Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. I've never read the full text of Wind in the Willows. When I was young, I had this abridged version of the text that I absolutely adored, but I am really into like cozy vibes right now, and I thought this would be the perfect one to pick up. I thought it would be perfect to pick up as summer is kind of ending, but I think it'll be a good read into the autumn. It has some art in it, which I think is really neat. These editions are really pretty. I don't own too many Barnes & Noble leather-bound classics, surprisingly, because I work there. I just think most of them are really ugly. I don't like the big editions. I don't know. There's just not something very appealing to them, but I really do enjoy these children's leather-bound editions, and it's just very pretty, and it's kind of glittery, and I really like the size of it. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Hopefully sooner than later. It'll definitely be a quick read. The Wind in the Willows, I think it's just really about these like 4 friends kind of like small adventures. I don't 100% remember from when I read the book way back when in the abridged version, but it seems charming, cozy, cottagecore kind of vibes. Then we have this edition of Stoner by John Williams. This is the 50th anniversary edition published by NYRB. I also wanted to mention, as I'm talking about this, that NYRB had a sale. I think it's a yearly sale they do to kind of clear out some of their older stock, and I ended up getting 20 books. Every book was 40% off, because if you bought more than 4 books, it was 40% off for each book. So it was a really good deal. That's the same discount I get at work. And I was really pleased to be able to support them. Like I said, of all the like big buying and mass buying of books I did these last couple months, I don't regret those purchases at all, because every single one I picked out with care. I took a couple hours and like looked through them all and was like, these are all books that I would love to be able to get to sooner than later, and even if I can't get to them quickly, I know I will want to get to them years down the line. So I'm really happy about that. This is not one of those. I actually picked this up at work. I'd never seen a hardcover NYRB before, so I was like, I have to pick this up. I'm not 100% sure what Stoner is about. I've heard it and seen it kind of shuffled in with dark academia books, and I've heard some mixed reviews, but most of them have been really positive. I think it is about this guy's life, and he has a very depressing life, is what I think it is about. That's all I really know. I bought it because it was hardcover, naked hardback. I really like that, and also because I have seen it lumped in with dark academia books, which is some of my favorite types of books to read. And finally, for pretty classics, we have this illustrated edition of Jane Eyre. This is obviously written by Charlotte Bronte. The illustrations are done by Marilyn Bastian, I think. It's written in like a cursive that I can't, Marjolaine, maybe? Bastian. I can't 100% read the cursive. These are very cool. I have a couple Austen books like this as well. So they are illustrated to a degree. It's mostly just with florals, but they also have props kind of hidden amidst them. So like here you go, we've got a prop, and it is part of a newsprint type thing. So it's cool. Especially I have a Pride and Prejudice version like this that has a lot of letters that the characters write back and forth to each other on there. And it's a really cool edition to have. I don't know if I'd ever read this edition so much as just keep it on my shelf for display, but I think it is very pretty. It's also really heavy, one of the heavier books that I own, surprisingly. But yeah, these are very cool. I think they're just called the like illustrated editions. I think if you look up Marjolaine Bastian, I'll try to find a link to at least one of them and link it down below. But there's 3 more coming out, I want to say early next year. And then there are 3 out currently. Next we have all the Rainbow Rowell books I bought this last season. So Anyway the Wind Blows came out and I loved it. Check out my 24-hour reading vlog for it. It was such a great experience. I adored that book. And so I bought pretty much every edition. I think I did manage to get every edition. So I bought every edition, and I also got the hardcover version of Carry On that came out. So that's what I'm going to show you. And if you're curious about the different Anyway the Wind Blows editions, I'm going to walk you through those as well. So first of all, we have the hardcover copy of Carry On. I'm so happy we have the hardcover copy with Kevin Wada jacket. I missed out. I know there was at one point an opportunity to get a hardcover jacket for your original editions, and I don't have the original hardcover, but I would have bought it for that, but I missed out on that opportunity. But now we have the full book. I love it. I also love the end pages are a map of Watford, which I'm pretty sure Rainbow Rowell's husband actually drew. And they are my favorite map of the school. I think it is very cool looking and a really neat like perspective on it. But yeah, I adore this book. Love it. I have the hardcover now. Very pleased. And then I have 5 copies of Carry On. So first of all, we have just the original, I'm sorry, not Carry On, Anyway the Wind Blows. We have the original cover color scheme for the American edition of Anyway the Wind Blows. It's green. There's really no extras. The pages look like that. Oh, and the naked hardback looks like that, which is actually very nice. I think that is my favorite undercover just because of the book itself. But there's really nothing else extra special about that. That's just what this one looks like. And then the standard UK edition looks like this. In hardback, it's yellow. Otherwise, it's the same. Bez's shirt is actually slightly different. You can see. Again, same there. However, it is got this as the under jacket, which is similar to the Wayward Sun interior, has a floral print on it as well. So that is the UK Standard Edition. And then I got the Waterstone Special Edition. So it has the same dust jacket wrapping, but I decided to take it off because I thought it looked pretty without it, and it has stained edges that match. But that's the big difference there. The end pages are the special art. I'm not going to show you the back one because they are spoilers, but that's it. That's for special things. There's not like extra at the end or anything, I don't think. Yeah, no, it's just regular otherwise, but I think it's really pretty, and I actually really like having this naked on my shelf. It's really cool looking. Then we have the Indigo Edition. The big difference here, again, slightly different shirt colors for Baz. I actually never noticed. I guess Simon's shirt is different too, but Baz is the outfit I'm always looking at. It's purple. I really like this color scheme. I just don't think it fits for the book so well. Again, has the art end cap, or end pages, and has the sword as the stamp on the hardcover copy. And then finally, the edition that I read, which is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. This is pink. This is probably my favorite color scheme for the book, although I do like the original a lot as well. Again, same art, and the stamp here is also the sword again. So that is the different editions if you're curious. I have them all. I loved this book. Fully worth buying every single edition of it. Now we have some special editions. This is not every single special edition that I bought or received. These are just the ones that I'm most excited about, and it's the majority of them, but I'm pretty sure it's not every single one. No, it can't have been. So we have Son of the Storm. This is the Goldsboro Sci-Fi Fantasy Book Club edition. It has these edges, which are not popping up. I mean, a little bit they are. It's very faint. It's a very pretty book. This is a fantasy, obviously. I'm not 100% sure what it's about, but I kind of don't want to know. I kind of want to go in blind to this one, and I couldn't tell you why. It's just like something I'm interested in going into for this one. I love that they do the like protective wrapping. I think it's a really nice touch. We do also have this, which is a little letter, and it is signed and numbered. So that's really cool. I don't think there's anything else really special about this design, but I'm really excited for this one. It's one that I probably wouldn't have picked up if Goldsboro hadn't been promoting it, just because I don't know the author, and also because in America I don't think it came out in hardcover, so I wouldn't have gone to go seeking out a hardcover edition of it, but it is a very attractive hardcover, I must say. Then we have from Illumicrate, The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. I actually have an arc of this as well, and I just haven't had a chance to pick it up yet. These are what the edges look like, and it actually goes along the top and the bottom, which I think is a really neat touch. I'm so excited for this one. I think it's got queer women in it. And it's also, this is what it looks like under dust jacket. This is another fantasy. Obviously, I pretty much only get like fantasy books or classics. But the flap says, one is a vengeful princess seeking to depose her brother from his throne. The other is a priestess searching for her family. Together they will change the fate of the empire. Very pretty book. Then we have probably my most excited special edition to have received, and that is just because I love this book so much and I had to wait so long for it. We have the Grim Oak Press edition of Stormfront. So pretty. It doesn't even have the title on the cover. It is on the spine. This is for the 20th? 25th anniversary? Oh, something like that. This book's been out for a while. First of all, gorgeous cover. Gorgeous cover. I love it so much. Second of all, it's got illustrations, and it's signed by the author and the illustrator, and the illustrator is, of course, Chris McGrath, who does all the covers. It's also numbered, so that's cool. Let me show one picture. They're just really badass. Also, there's a ribbon bookmark, because of course there is, but here's like an example of the picture. They're full color. They're shiny, so there's a little bit of a glare, so I'm sorry about that. But they're so badass. This book is so cool. This is probably one of the prettiest books I own, and I like cherish it to death. They're going to do matching editions for some of the others, and I just can't wait. This is not even my favorite Dresden Files book. This is probably like one of my least favorite. Oh my god. Anyway, very cool edition. Very exciting edition. Now we have one I've actually read, and that is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the Illumicrate edition that they put out. I did a review for this book. Check out my review for fuller thoughts. It is very pretty. I love the art on the dust jacket, and I also really love the naked design. I think this is like the really great thing about it. It does have stained edges, which are pretty, but the naked book here is just to die for. I absolutely adore it. Another Illumicrate book, She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. Another book I have an arc for and just haven't gotten to because I'm slow. Very pretty. I love gradient edges. Gradient edges that actually follow the gradient of the end pages. I think it's so cool. It's so cool. And then of course we have the naked dust jacket, or the naked dust jacket, the naked hardback. So pretty, to die for. They went all out with this edition and they did not let up. This book is Mulan meets Song of Achilles. That's all I know about it. It's the first in a duet. I'm really excited to read this one. Another Illumicrate. Illumicrate has just like popped off recently with their editions. Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. I am dying to get to this one. I'm dying to get to this one. It's very much like fairy tale-esque fantasy. That's all I really need to know. I've seen it compared to Catherine Arden's Winter Night trilogy and Naomi Novik's fantasy trilogy or fairy tale books. It's so pretty. Stained edges. Oh, I just am gaga for this one. I'm very excited for this one. I stopped myself from buying a regular edition just because I knew this was coming, and I'm very pleased. I can't wait to get it. It feels like a really good spooky October book. From Fairy Loot, because I'm subscribed to them again, we have Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This has been pitched as being similar to a Ghibli movie, and that's all I need to hear. Look at how pretty this is. And then finally, one from Goldsboro, we have The Gauntlet and the Fist Beneath by Ian Green. Looks like this. I think it's grimdark. I think. Alright, I'm going to run through the last couple of these because my camera is dying and also my dog wants me. We have, now these are just other books that I picked up that I'm really interested for. So we have The Queer Principles of Kit Webb by Kat Sebastian. I really loved her other books that I read. My dog chewed through my brother's pillow. I feel really bad. Where did I leave off? The Queer Principles of Kit Webb. This is Kat Sebastian's most recent book and her first like paperback. That's not a mass market paperback. It's another Regency, I think it's a Regency romance, queer story. Really excited for it. Really like Kat Sebastian's other books that I've read. Yeah. My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Atessa Moshfegh. This book has been huge on TikTok lately. I think it's weird that it got picked up so fast on TikTok. The vibes this book give off is like dark academia adjacent, but only adjacent in the way that a lot of characters in dark academia seem to be like wealthy and do well for themselves. I think it's about this woman who she's like doesn't really have any like monetary issues, so all her issues are kind of invisible, and it's just an exploration of that. Sounds interesting. Then we have a smutty book, another smutty book. I don't know if the Kat Sebastian one's going to be smutty, but this will be smutty. Mr. Darcy Takes a Wife by Linda Birdall. A coworker recommended this to me, and because I adore Pride and Prejudice, I had to pick it up. I've heard it's very steamy. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. It's basically what happens after Pride and Prejudice. So, like, with smut, give it to me. Then we have another TikTok book, The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. Dark Academia. I think they're collecting like knowledge from lost civilizations or something. Like the Library of Alexandria, I think, has a role to play. And there is actually art, which I think is neat. I don't know much else about that. And then a art book. I don't buy a lot of these. This is Biblio Style. This is by Nina Freudenberger. It is so cool. It is like if you love books and love like owning and collecting and showing off books, I think this is a book you will enjoy. Like, it's like looking at people's bookshelves and like how they display books and like articles about them, and it's just really pretty and really cool, and makes me really jealous of a lot of these people for having space to display their books and just being able to dedicate entire houses to their books. It's such a pleasing book to go through. And then finally, my favorite part of this probably is the ARCs I received. I'm so bad at reading. I love receiving ARCs, so thank you to all the publishers who sent them to me. But I'm also not necessarily super prompt about reading ARCs just because I'm a really slow reader. And when you see my monthly wrap up or my seasonal wrap up, you're going to see exactly how slowly I was these last 3 months. But most exciting was Empire the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This comes out in less than a month, guys, and it's amazing. I read it. I loved it. I will be doing a review and some other things. It's so good. Probably my favorite book I've read this year. Oh, it's so good. It's just fantastic. The next arc I'm reading is A Spindle Splintered by Alex E. Harrow, and I'm reading it next. This comes out in October, I think. October 2021. I'm reading this next because I actually promised to send it off to a friend. But you know, this one also has art, and it's like shadow art. Very cool, very cool. I've never read an Alex E. Harrow. Then we have The Pariah by Anthony Ryan. This actually is just about to come out because it comes out on the 24th. It is the story of outlaw to famed warrior, and I'm just really excited. I love the cover. It has like a very particular like badass anti-hero vibe to it that I am 100% for. Then we have Wildwood Whispers by Willow Reese. This one came out actually earlier this month in August 8/17. So this is basically my take on this based on the description is that it is if Hallmark tried to do a fairy story. Like Hallmark Channel. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. A recent acquiral is Far from the Light of Heaven by Tade Thompson. This comes out October 26th. It is a sci-fi set on a generation ship, I believe. I love the cover. I have not heard much about it, but I am excited for it because there's some like murder mystery, like people are not waking up when they're supposed to kind of situation. Then we have an author that I have loved in the past, and that is Silvia Moreno Garcia's Certain Dark Things. This is an arc of the reprinting. I've heard this is great. It has like cult classic status, neo-noir, cyberpunk, set in Mexico City. There's a vampire, like I said, cyberpunk. I'm here for it. I've only read Mexican Gothic, but I have 2 of her other books, I think, that I'm planning to get to, but this will probably be the next one. This one comes out in September. One that I'm dying to get to because it gives me like Addie LaRue vibes for some reason is The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova. I've not read a Cordova book. It is her first adult book. It comes out in September. Like I said, it gives me like Addie LaRue vibes. It is about, I think it's magical realism. It's also gives me like practical magic vibes. It's about the women in this family trying to save their family, I think. It says, alternating between Orquídea's past and her descendants' present, The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina is an enchanting novel about what we knowingly and unknowingly inherit from our ancestors, the ties that bind, and reclaiming your power. And the final book in this book haul is The Grimrose Girls by Laura Pohl. It is a YA book. I think it comes out in, it's in November. It's tagged as The Pretty Little Liars meets The Descendants. I think it's fairy tale Gossip Girl, or no, Fairy Tale Riverdale is the actual vibes I get from it. It's about descendants of / reimaginings of fairy tale princesses characters set in a sort of, I think it's a boarding school that has a, you know what, it actually also gives like House of Anubis vibes, if you know what that is. That's what it's mainly giving me, and I loved House of Anubis. One of the girls ends up dying. It's seen as a suicide by everybody, but is it? That's what this one's about. So that is my book haul. That is my book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. I think I might, not on purpose, it might happen, I'm just letting you know now, I might end up taking a week off of posting. It's not on purpose. Things are just coming up that I can't avoid. I'm going to do what I can. I just don't know if I'm going to have any time to film. So this might be the last video of mine you see for a little bit. Don't be worried, I am coming back. I have a lot of videos I'm planning to do. I just don't know when they're going to get filmed and thus edited and put up. So we'll see. I will be working my best. until I see you guys again, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you for being here. If it is cold where you're at, I hope you're... My camera cut out, so I'm finishing it here. If it's cold where you're at, I hope you stay warm. If it is warm where you're at, I hope you're staying comfortable, and I hope you're reading a great book. I will see you guys as soon as I can.